9% on average. There's 100 people that say I'm going to do something this year. 9 of them actually follow through with what that resolution is. Live without it, you find a way to get it. It's most likely the fear of rejection. Did you lose anything by getting rejected to go in and lose it? So you never had the admission. Welcome to episode 1, season 1 of our first podcast. We're going to try things out. This is going to be designed all about personal development. This is about going deep within yourself and finding an extra gear. It's everything that I've found discovering the self-development and personal development space as an outlet of my thoughts out on video. Tried a couple of different outlets and I have not found that my crazy complex brain has been able to get all those jumbled up thoughts and cram it into a short Twitter or X, or get all my jumbled up thoughts and cram it into a small post on Instagram or TikTok. So long form video seems to be a perfect fit. So this is just, for me, passion project. And in the future, when we grow it and when we build it, the goal is to inspire and allow people to design their lives to expand and grow and create. And I've learned a lot of stuff along the way that I'd like to pass about. So we're going to dive into things. First topic that was just on my heart the other day was need versus want. So this is relevant right now because it's January 10th. It's the new year. We're all getting revved up about our New Year resolutions and goals. And looked up a couple of stats. Would you believe that people out there in the world, they go through all of the trouble of setting the resolution and the goals. They get fired up about it. They go to GNC. They get the gym membership. They get the equipment. They tell their friends about it. They post about it. This is who I'm going to be this year. This is what I'm going to do. And everything is great until it's not. Would you believe that 9% on average follow through with their New Year's resolutions? There's 100 people that say I'm going to do something this year. 9 of them actually follow through with what that resolution is. So then you say to yourself, why go through all of the trouble and the pain of failing? And why go through all of the confusion of getting in there and staking a claim of who you want to be just to have it all crumble down? Why? From what I've seen and what I've learned, it has to do more with a question of need versus want. And this may sound obvious, but if you need something, if you can't live without it, you find a way to get it. If you want something, when adversity hits, which it will, adversity is inevitable. When adversity hits, you take foot off gas, you miss the day, you skip the gym, you do the drink, you go off of your daily habits. That's going to get you to the actual goal. And it's very easy to happen. And it happens for everybody, but it happens at different stages, right? There's levels to it. And everybody has the right intentions. Nobody's a bad person. But when you hit that adversity or when something comes up in life, you say, I'm going to shelf that for right now. And then you'll revisit it. The people are resilient out there, right? You'll revisit it. But then at that point, it's not the same. You broke the promise to yourself and now you're reeling. So need versus want. If you needed to put family on your food's table, or else they were going to starve, whatever was in the way of you getting family whatever's in the way of getting food on your family's table, it would be no question. You would do it. You would work the second shift. You would take the third job. You would drive the Uber. You would grind for 12 hours to be able to make it up of what you need. You would ask, you would borrow, you would beg, but you would get your family fed because you need food. You need your family to survive. You would get it. If you wanted to take your family on a really nice vacation, it's not required, it's not need, but you know your family would love it. You want it. It's important to you. I would love to do that, but it's not a need. And what happens is you go for the bonus, you go for the extra commission check, you start the side hustle, you start the business, and you're in the honeymoon stage, as we all like to get there. And then something happens, then you say to yourself, this isn't worth it. The price tag is too big. The sacrifice is too large. And then you veer away from it. And then you pick your head up like we always do. And we land at about 80%, 70%, 50% to what we actually wanted to do as far as the goal. And then we end up going to the Holiday Inn Express. We just have a nice breakfast. Not saying that it's bad to go to the Holiday Inn Express, but the original goal was to take them on a nice family vacation, go to Hawaii, do a surfing experience, have an actual experience. But now you're doing the same vacation to the same area that you usually do because you fell off the horse. But it's because it was a want. It's not because it was a need. So then you say to yourself, Corey, if I have to manufacture a need, if I have to need something in order to achieve it, what do I do? Do I spend all my money? Do I go? Here's some things that I've found that have helped me. So I just mentioned manufacturing a need. You have to trick yourself into needing whatever that goal is. We can use any example of what a specific goal is going to be for you, but whatever it is, I set my goals for this year. I don't actually need it. It's not a need. I've narrowed down my life into 2 different buckets that I want to strive for and achieve towards. The first bucket is relationships. So I'm in the mortgage industry. I lead a sales team. I have relationships with all of my teammates. I run a team of 10, and it's really important we have really strong relationships, and they're awesome. And we do have great relationships, but I want to foster those. I have a family of 4. My wife, Sky, my 2 kids, Beckett and Breslin. Their lives are incredibly important to me. My relationship with my kids and my wife are incredibly important to me. And maybe there was times in which I got distracted by other things. And that's a part of all my growth and development journey. I've identified now that the thing that matters most to me is relationships. That's what makes me the happiest. That's what fills cup, just 1 cup. And that's what I want. So relationships. And then of course my friends. I got friends, Arizona, Michigan, people I've known for years, people I've just met. And then meeting new people is also something that I'm not going to say it's hard for me, but it's a challenge, right? When you become an adult and you're out there in the world, it takes a lot of energy. You have the fear of rejection sometimes, but I know when I do meet a new person and I'm able to build a new relationship, it makes me feel great. So based off of feel and based off of priorities in my life, I want to build great relationships. That's the first bucket. The second bucket I've identified is I want to take on personal challenges. So I was born with the God-given gift of being able to run long distances. And, you don't want to look God's gifts in the face and say, I don't want to, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else. Maybe that I'm a little bit weaker at. I found that I've had a lot of enjoyment and a lot of personal growth in just running marathons, half marathons. I just finished my first half Ironman. That really took a lot of stretching and striding. And after the training plan is done and after I finish out everything, I just feel great. That sense of accomplishment, that sense of moving on to the next level. And that's something I really chase. So I've identified those are my 2 buckets and physical challenges. So now that I've identified that, it's really easy to set up my goals for 2026 because it's going to fall into one of those 2 buckets, whatever I want to achieve this year. That's what I identified that I love. Now, when it comes to those buckets, I have to attach a really deep meaning to those things. So this has to go back to manufacturing a need. Do I need to run another half Ironman? No, I could go without it. I'm not going to die if I don't run another half Ironman. It's not a need. It's definitely a want, but I'm manufacturing a need behind it. What I've found, at least with me, is that when I make a promise to myself and I say, I want to do X, and I build out the plan, if I veer away from that, what that impacts for me, and maybe I'm a head case, is my personal confidence. When I break promises to myself, my confidence goes down. Confidence is something that I need. It's something needed in what I do. It's something that I need to make me feel good. Confidence is important in life. So I've attached confidence to these goals. It's not, oh, I missed a workout today. No big deal. It's, I can't miss a workout or else it takes a huge major blow to what the plan is and my confidence. The second thing is my relationship with my kids. So my kids are at the ages of 9 and 6, and they're in the years that are super impressionable, and things are more caught rather than taught with them. So when they see me make an excuse, skip a workout, say to myself, that's not as important today, cut a corner, it basically gives them permission to do the same thing. Who am I to look my kids in the face and say, you need to see things all the way through and finish things out if I'm not doing it myself? And that's something I identified that's something super important to me. So when I sit down and set the goal, I take a lot of time, and I'm very, very careful and conscious of setting that goal to make sure that it's something that is not only going to stretch me, but it's something that I can actually commit to. What are the sacrifices associated with doing this? And if I look at that goal and I can't commit to the sacrifice, and I know that it's going to push me beyond what I'm willing to commit to, I won't do it. So that makes setting really difficult. It's not a whimsical, hey, it'd be cool if, because it's just a waste of time that way, because we know how it turns out, because it's more of a want rather than a need. So number one is to attach a deep meaning. Whatever that deep meaning is, attach it to it and understand that when you miss the step, it's way bigger than just an off day. You have to attach a deeper meaning to it. Now, the second thing is to attach an action and process oriented plan. Action and process oriented plan has to be attached to your goal. So what I mean by this, when you sit at the base of the mountain of 2026 and you're looking at the top of the mountain of what that goal is, it is very far away. And that is, from what I've found, a thought that is very demotivating in a lot of cases. I'm so far away from this thing. How am I going to get to the top of that mountain? If you ever take a stop and look at how far away you are from the top of the mountain, it's a killer. When I was running the half Ironman a month ago, and I was 3 hours into the bike ride, I refuse to mentally let myself get to a place of how far away is the finish line. Now, when I did see the finish line, it was far away. It's probably about a mile away, but I could see it, the bike installment of the actual race. And that last mile was so freaking hard compared to the first 53 miles, because my mind was telling myself, you're almost done. And that was the first time that I let myself think about making it to the point where I can relax, and I've made it, and I've identified where that finish line is, because then the legs got really heavy. It doesn't matter where the finish line is when you're standing at the base of the mountain. You're going to get there if you continue to put one foot in front of the other. But the important piece is, don't look up. We need to have a process and action-based plan. And you can never walk away from that actual plan. So I like to attach a challenge to whatever my goals are, and I want to have a process and action-based plan to get to that goal. So for this year, I'll give you an example, real life example of what I'm doing. So my first goal this year is to make a certain monetary amount at what I do for my career. And again, I lead a sales team in the mortgage industry. So I said, hey, this year I'm going to make the most amount of money that I've ever made since being in the industry. And this is my 14th year. I sat down and said, that's the goal. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice. It's going to take a lot of hard work. And of course, we need some market to help us out. And there's a bit of luck. So we need those things to happen for us. But I sat down and I said, that's the monetary goal that I want to hit. Now, where I sit right now on January 10th and mapping out the entire year, we're very far away from that monetary goal. Haven't even made a paycheck yet. It can be demoralizing of saying, like, how am I going to do that based off of where I sit right now? But that's not what we do. We're going to attach a very simple plan to it. So my plan is very action-based. It's based off a certain amount of dials. It's based off a certain amount of meetings with some referral partners that I have. It's based off of daily actions that are going to get me to lead to income producing activities. And it's something that is a lot, not a lot, but it's an increase of what I typically do on a day-to-day basis. And I keep track of it, right? and I don't leave the office until I hit those items. Now, yesterday, I hit all those items before 3 p.m. So I don't have to grind it out, go until 8 p.m. at night and go crazy on this thing. Yesterday, I hit it very early. It's more about hitting the actual goal rather than what the time is on the clock. And I know if as long as I achieve these things, that it's going to lead to $600,000 with a goal to make this year. So you sit down, you set up the plan, but the plan is all based off of actions that happen daily or weekly, and you don't veer away from the plan because I attach a really deep meaning to it. It's going to impact my confidence. It's going to impact my ability to show my kids a great example. It's going to impact those things. So you kind of tie those things together. The second piece of my goals this year is to be able to run another half Ironman and to run a marathon in a couple of months. And for that marathon, we are going to, we're striding to qualify for the Boston Marathon. So you got to run under 3 hours in your marathon in order to qualify for the Boston. That's something I've never done before. But with that, you build out the plan and you don't veer away from the plan. So my plan is every day there's a certain workout. So I'm not missing any days, 365 days of working out this year, at least 30 minutes. My running plan is all built thanks to ChatGPT. Holler at AI. Thank you. And I never veer away from it. I've been sick for about a week and a half. I was just in Michigan. New Year's Day, Christmas. Those aren't days that you typically would go out there when it's -5 degrees outside in the snow trying to run, but I don't veer off from the plan. I don't think about the mountaintop at the end. I don't think about, oh crap, it's cold outside. I just think about putting my right foot in front of my left foot and going on and moving on to execute on what the actual game plan is. You simplify it, you make it action-based and process-based, and you don't move off of it. You don't veer away from the plan. I have my challenges all built out. I have my calendar all built out. And what this is going to allow me to do is pick my head up at the end of the year and create the best possible opportunity to be able to knock off those goals off of my list. And going back to what I was originally talking about, my whole entire, not meaning of life, but buckets of life that I've identified that are important to me, relationships and physical challenges, are both involved in this plan. So I'm super fired up about it. Now, again, attaching need compared to want is the key there. Figuring out what is actually important to you and what you want to embody as a person, as a being, and taking the steps to build out a very specific plan that is action-based and process-based is the key to be able to hit your goals and not veer off from it. At least that's what I've found. Adversity is inevitable. I think when you mentally decide that whatever I sign up for this year, big or small, there is going to be adversity, you should expect adversity. Nothing ever goes your way. Think about anything that you've ever accomplished. Stuff came up during the process of you trying to accomplish it. It's never been perfect. It never will be perfect. Life is very imperfect. And if it is perfect for you, great. But expect adversity because it's inevitable. And a beautiful thing happens when you expect adversity. When it hits, you're not thrown off. When it hits, you were fully aware and prepared and knew that it was coming. Oh, there you are, adversity. I knew you were coming. Thanks for showing up in this form. I'm going to work around that. I'm going to show some resilience and I'm going to get past the adversity of what I'm finding because I was expecting it. That's something that's really served me well. And when the inevitable adversity hits, you don't have the mental image and the mental thought of, here we go again. This is why I can't do X, Y, and Z. Adversity shows up in many different forms. You could get sick, like I am right now. You can get distracted. You could get in a fight with your spouse. You could have a death in the family. You could get fired from your job. The weather could be bad. You could run out of time. You could sleep in past your alarm. Adversity shows up in a million different ways, but it doesn't matter. Adversity is expected. We expect it to come through, and you're able to press through it and move past it. You have a certain level that is way deeper than what you even know. The level of what you can achieve shows up in the form of need. When you need to do it, when you have to have it, when you can't live without it, when it's important to you to the degree of this will kill me if this sets me back, you find a way. We always find a way. Human beings are incredibly resilient, but there are levels to it. Everybody is resilient. Everybody has a certain level of resilience. There's levels to it. And whatever your norm is when it comes to resilience is going to show up. So I think it's not something that changes overnight though. So if you're in the personal development space and if you're trying to have an awesome 2026, but you're deciding this year that this is the first year that it's going to be different, new year, new me, you can't just strive to be level 10 resilience, going to climb Mount Everest in negative degree temperatures with frostbite all over your feet and hands and face and, putting your life at risk. If you're just starting at level 1, you can strive to push yourself to that next level. And what that might look like is working out 5 days a week when you're used to only doing it 2 days a week, and setting your alarm an hour earlier when you're used to waking up at 7, waking up at 6 a.m. You can't go up from waking up at 7 a.m. to waking up at 4 a.m. and just totally shocking the system, because it's not going to be sustainable that way. You can't go from a diet of pizza and tacos to only eating kale and salads every single day of the week. It's not going to be sustainable for you because you're not ready for it. Your body's not ready for it. You get one of those flash in the pan type of results, and then you're going to pick your head up and revert back to the meat. I do recommend to take it in bite-sized chunks. Set out the goals, make sure that they're action and process based, and don't veer off from those goals. Another one of my goals this year is to take a lot of chances. It's not really a goal, right? My attitude towards 2026 is to take a lot more chances just in everyday, day-to-day decisions. This is also rooted in my decision to dedicate a lot of my life to my relationships and my physical challenges. So when I say I want to take more chances in 2026, but I have myself grounded in my relationships and my physical challenges. When I say take chances, I'm not saying I want to jump out of an airplane. I'm not saying I want to go bungee jumping. I'm not saying I want to, take a chance and pick a fight with a guy in a bar. Those are in line with what I'm wanting to do in my life. So I would say it's important before you decide you want to take chances that it's aligned with who you want to be and what you want to accomplish. For me, when it comes to taking chances, I'm going to take chances with making more relationships. I'm going to take chances of things that fill that bucket and fall into that category for me. I'm taking a chance right now by recording this podcast. Podcast and doing this is something I've never done before. Real talk, I was supposed to be recording earlier on this week. When I build out my week, I have a certain cadence of what I'm going to do every single day. Some things are the same that I always have to accomplish, like I mentioned before. And then other things are based off of the day that I'm going to be following through on. So this is supposed to happen on Tuesday. And then it kept getting pushed off. I'm in my home office right now, but right over here is my daughter's room. And she's 6 and she sleeps until 7 a.m. And I'm an early riser. I'm up at 3:45 a.m. Original vision is, let me just do this in the morning. It didn't work out that way because I didn't want to wake her up. She has to go to school. And then during the day, you get hit in the face with work and everything that's going on. So it kept getting pushed off. So I'm trying to find the right cadence, but stretching myself to do something extra, something out of the norm for me, something that's going to stretch me out of my comfort zone is this podcast. And that's part of taking more chances in 2026. The other part of taking more chances in 2026 is to get out of my comfort zone with certain relationships. So with the current relationships I have, get out of the surface. We talk about the weather and sports and what's going on this weekend. And did you try that restaurant? But if I'm going to say I want to dedicate my life to relationships as one of the 2 things that I'm going to be about, then I shouldn't just talk about sports and how good the cheeseburgers are at a specific restaurant. We should be having way deeper conversations. We should be getting vulnerable. We should be making a deeper connection with each other. So the people that are in my circle right now, and I have some great people, my goal is to take chances this year and go deeper. So that's always in the forefront of my mind when I'm at a soccer practice, when I'm at a coffee meeting, when I'm interacting with one of the teammates that are on my team virtually. When I'm meeting with a client, I want to go deeper. I want to stay away from the surface. So that's in my head, take more chances there. And then take more chances with newer relationships. So in what I do, a big part of what we do is meeting real estate agents. And real estate agents, just to kind of break things down, they meet more clients first, and they typically will refer them over to a loan officer to get them pre-approved to be able to purchase a property. So real estate agents are a big part of our business, how we earn, how we accomplish our goals. So we need to build relationships with them. So I've been in the industry for 14 years, built some great relationships over that 14 years, but it's kind of the same relationships is what I've found. And I can continue to doing on the same thing that I'm doing right now, but that's not really me. And again, one of the two buckets that I want to accomplish this year is taking more chances with relationships. So that means meeting more agents. That means meeting more referral partners and putting myself out there. Um, doing some introspection and thinking, well, why don't you always do that? Why do you have to wait for 2026 to happen in order for you to decide I want to make more relationships? Like what's been holding you back? And if you really look at it, at least me doing introspection, I found it's most likely the fear of rejection. Something I've been working really closely on, specifically over the last 2 years. I'm not a finished product here, is my ego. So my ego shows up a lot of different times, is what I found. I'm a really competitive dude. I'm a really prideful guy. I've been in, again, this industry with the same company for 14 years. So when you're in a competitive environment and, there's high net worth earners and you get a certain level of success, you kind of move and talk a different way and you have a really high standard for yourself. And sometimes that shows up as ego. And I've been checking myself and catching myself like that's just your ego talking. And I've grown a lot in that space, but to the thought of meeting or putting myself out there with an agent that may not want to work with me in the past has stopped me from reaching out to that agent or just sending a text message or not getting past the initial, yeah, I'm not interested, and working around that. And the reason why is because, again, the ego kicks in and you say, well, who are you to tell me no? I should be telling you no. But that's not right. And that's not productive. And people totally have the right to hold you at arm's length if they don't know you and they don't understand with what you're about, is what I've come to realize. So fear of rejection is what's held me back. And this year, in the name of growth and the name of stretching and the name of building great relationships, if I get rejected, I get rejected. I saw a great way to look at rejection. Someone sent me this. I don't know if it's necessarily a quote, but rejection is looked at totally different. So if you look at rejection through a different scope, so say right now that you wanted to go to college and you wanted to apply to Harvard University, an Ivy League school, great university to get into, and you do all of the paperwork and you fill out all of the stuff and you put your big packet in the mail, you submit it over, you wait weeks to hear back, and then Harvard messages you back, sends you a letter in the mail, and they say, unfortunately, for 2026, you are not accepted into Harvard University. Now, would you be disappointed there? Sure. But did you actually lose anything? Did you lose anything by getting rejected to going to Harvard? You started as not being a student at Harvard. You ended as not being a student at Harvard. But we look at that as rejection and loss. I had that you have to have something in order to lose it. So you never had the admission into Harvard. So same thing with me. If I put myself out there with a real estate agent or someone that I want to meet, and I put myself out there and I get rejected, and they said, thanks, but no thanks. I started with not having a relationship with that person. I'm ending with not having a relationship with that person. And if anything, I gain because I get the experience of that didn't go well. I'm going to avoid that for future and maybe approach it in a different way. And I also gain the confidence, what I was talking about before. I stretch myself past a certain state that I hadn't wanted to be in. And now I said I was going to take more chances this year and I did it. And even though I got rejected and I didn't get the outcome that I wanted, I am feeding my need for wanting to hit my goals. So just a great scope and something pretty cool to think about as far as rejection goes. In conclusion, as you get your 2026 goals off and running, a couple things to think about. Number one, is this a want goal or is this a need goal? 9 times out of 10, it's going to fall into the want goal. But your job is to mentally put yourself in a position where it is a need. And you do that by attaching a very specific, deeper meaning to what that goal actually does for you. It's not the trophy that you get at the end. It's the learning experience and the stretch of your human physical being that gets you the actual win. So that's number one, to create a manufactured need. And then second, it's left foot in front of right foot, one foot in front of the other. Slow down. Break it down into process and action-based steps. That is daily and weekly. And don't ever let go of the rope. Expect adversity. That's okay. And take steps to check that action or process off the list for that day or for that week. And if you hadn't done it by 2 o'clock, you damn sure better get it done by 3 o'clock. If you haven't done it by 3 o'clock, better get it done before dinner time. If you can't get it done before dinner time, better get it done before 10 o'clock. If you haven't got it done before 10 o'clock, you're not going to sleep and watching Netflix. You're taking between 10 and 12 and you're not veering off of it because it's way bigger of a deal to miss that even one day because it takes a strike and it is a snowball rolling down the hill. So that's a manufactured need. That's what helps me create it. And then also in conclusion is to find what actually is important to you, what drives you. I think we get confused with the minutia of life. I think we look at social media. I think we look at trends. I think we look at, we compare ourselves to other people. And every day is another way to get distracted. And when we end up really distracted with a wild set of priorities, we just end up striking right in the middle and wishing for more. And we end up unfulfilled. So get really clear on what those things are, and it helps you with decision making. Again, mine are building relationships, fostering the current ones I have and making new ones, and taking on physical challenges. If it doesn't fall into one of those two buckets, I don't do it. If watching a football game for 3 hours for two teams that I don't care about, and it's time taken away from my family, my friends, or building out relationships, or if it's time taken away from my training, I'm just not going to do it. Where in the past, I would spend hours just watching football and taking those steps to just kind of blow away my Sunday. I'm deciding actively to not take that. And that might not be forever. That's the season I'm in right now, the season of growth. But decide on what is the thing that's important to you. And last but not least is take chances. Stretch yourself, put yourself in a position where you're getting out of your comfort zone often. And you do that by deciding this year, this week, this month, I'm going to take chances and get myself out of their comfort zone. And what happens is you make 1,000 decisions in a day. And if you're making a decision of I'm taking more chances this year, more times than not, you're going to pick your head up and be really happy with the results. At least I am so far. The first 10 days of January have been great outside of being sick. Imagine when I get past this illness, how on fire it's going to be. It's going to be great. I've got to get rid of it though. All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for recording, Corey. You're welcome, Corey. And we'll see you next time.